Welcome to the Ego versus EQ and You podcast, where we discuss the key aspects of emotional intelligence and ways to apply it in everyday living. Now let's work together to make common sense more common. Hi, welcome to the Ego versus EQ and You podcast. I'm Jen Shirkani, your host. So excited. We're actually in season 3 already, believe it or not. Seems like it's just flown by. Nice. I'm thrilled to be here in studio with my co-host, Steve Friedlein, and we are joined virtually with Angela Bearor, our other co-host.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Angela.
Great to see you.
So I thought we could kick this episode off by discussing something that's come up quite a bit with our clients. Some of you may have had a similar experience with this, but we're hearing out there that interviewing is getting more and more challenging with the introduction of AI, particularly AI helping candidates with their resume writing, with their interview prep. And so we thought we'd chat a little bit about some of the dynamics at play and maybe some ways to overcome some of the masquerading that might be happening.
Yeah, exactly. It's always been a difficult process. I think it's definitely much more of an art form than a mathematical type of equation. And one would think with additional technology and new skill sets potentially out there that it would become easier. Mm-hmm. But I think there are new challenges that we really need to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I agree. Well, why don't I kick us off with a little poll question? Are you guys up for that?
Sure.
Let's do it.
All right. So first, I have 2 for you today.
Okay.
First question is, according to recent surveys, approximately what percentage of job seekers use AI to help prepare resumes or applications? Here are your choices. A, 15%, B, 35%, C, 60%, and D, 90%.
I think it's either C or D.
I agree.
I think it's a high number, is my guess.
I would have said like
it's as high as
70
90?
to 75, but since you're making us go with a category, I think it could be as high as 90, actually.
Really?
I don't know.
It could be. Okay,
I would think 90 as well, but I have the answer.
I know. Yeah, you got a little inside information there. Okay. I'm going to go D, 90.
D. Okay. Well, the correct answer is around 60%, so
60.
C.
Okay.
Yes, and the little add-on to that is that AI job applications have become mainstream, with many candidates using tools like ChatGPT, Claude to tailor resumes and cover letters. Mm-hmm. Another thing to think about is recruiters are using AI for screening.
Yes.
Job applicants are using AI to tailor the resumes. So where are the humans? Where are the humans?
I know, right?
Well, the interesting thing, when I was coming to 90%, I'm thinking most interviewers probably think it's 90%.
90, yeah.
And the fact that they're having to be on guard with every applicant that comes in, because you have to dissect to determine whether or not it's the real deal or whether someone has used that information. And if they have been using AI, how do I get to understand who that person is more clearly? So I think just anticipating that every applicant may be using it is why my number was higher.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's a great point, Steve. I have one more here for both of you. This is not necessarily a poll question, more of a discussion question. I'm just interested to hear your insights on. Which hiring skill do you believe AI will have the most difficult time replacing? Okay, or replicating? These are options. Reading emotional cues, building rapport, assessing culture fit, evaluating critical thinking, and recognizing leadership potential.
So there's some type of an AI agent that's doing the interview in this case and assessing these factors in a candidate?
I think just all AI in general, the broad scope of AI.
Yeah.
Which one do you think that they, would not be able to replicate?
Well, I think they would all be challenged.
Could be more than one.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think they're all a challenge to some extent. Definitely determining leadership skills, I think, would be on my list, because I want to know if that person can actually function in real time without the benefit of AI. I don't know.
And the emotional cues, I think,
Yes.
seems like a pretty obvious one.
Yeah.
That might be a little bit more, although I think AI is developing quickly in this space. And so we are seeing more emotional AI training happening. So that may not last. It may get to a point where it can read an expression and tell you what that person is feeling by the look on their face.
Yes. And I was thinking about the building rapport option on there.
Well, yeah, I mean, if the stories are to be believed, people are developing these very close relationships with AI, the chat one where it talks back to you and everything.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely. I had an interesting interaction just yesterday. I was calling to make a doctor's appointment, and they used a 100% AI agent, and he came on and he said, "Hi, but they didn't tell me it was an AI agent."
Oh, they didn't.
He just
That's
came
what I
on. Yes. He came on. He said, "Hi, I'm Max. I would like to make your appointment for you. Tell me what you need help with." And then as soon as I told him, he said, "Hang on, I don't think I can help you with that." But the interesting thing was they had phones ringing in the background. You could hear people talking and typing that they added in to the call to make it sound like
he was in a call center.
In an office, yes. But ultimately, it just ended up causing more work for everyone because it directed me to the wrong place and the wrong person. And so still some quirks to iron out.
Well, we've done an episode on AI and EQ, but back to the interviewing piece, partly why I thought this was an interesting subject is we had one client who is in the middle of recruiting for a pretty high-level position, and she said she had gotten 3 resumes, and they were nearly identical. And she said, obviously, whichever, if they use chat or Gemini or whichever Claude, whichever AI, they'd use the same one because they had plugged in the job description and had their personal experience plugged into it. But she said the phrasing was even the same on all 3 in certain sections of the resume. And she's like, what do I do with that? It just reinforces, we've always said for the 25 years we've been doing this, you have to do a good interview. You have to do a thorough behavior-based interview that doesn't come with the canned questions that most people love to ask. And now I think more than ever, knowing how to do a solid interview is critical.
Totally. I have to go back, Ange, to the question you asked us a little bit ago.
Yes.
Give us a little more insight in terms of the information you gathered as to which one was the highest challenge.
It was just discussion topic. There was not a right or right. No, just to bring kind of EI. A lot of these are, a lot of the ones I listed are emotional intelligence or connected to our emotional intelligence skills. And so I just thought it would be an interesting discussion.
Oh, it's fascinating. And it's still got me thinking, actually, about some of the challenges of trying to figure out. And I think every aspect of how someone presents themselves is something I want to learn more about, which is why I want to be able to ask questions that are going to delve into who that person really is versus who they want me to believe they are.
Well, and if I'm doing a good interview, they might be prepping using AI, but if I ask a question like, describe for me your busiest week in the last month, I don't know if AI can answer that for them.
Right.
Even if they're somehow using AI on the side or on their phone, if you're in a virtual interview where you're not with them in person, I think the more questions like that you can ask, the more the odds are you'll get an honest answer.
Yep, absolutely. And I was talking recently with a person who works for a higher education institution and said they are very well aware when the person is using another screen to type in information, to gather information about how to answer the question. So I think the kind of question you just asked about an experience, it's going to be pretty difficult for me to gather that information from artificial intelligence when it's really about something that happened to me that I had to react to in real time.
Especially if you then ask the follow-up detail questions.
Exactly.
I think that's where you'll really uncover if this is an honest answer or not.
Exactly.
Yes,
well, and the challenge
definitely.
lies in, the candidate obviously wants to put themselves in the best possible light. I understand that. And AI can definitely be helpful. But if it reaches a point where it's misrepresenting what I'm capable of doing, that's when it becomes an issue. And not only for the interviewer, but for the candidate to live up to that which they wanted you to believe when in fact it wasn't them.
Yeah, because I mean, in the end, you're going to get hired, and they're going to figure out what you can and can't do, regardless of what you said, right? Up front.
Yes.
It's just going to waste everyone's time if you are misrepresenting enough about yourself.
Yes. So there's no doubt it's a helpful tool.
Well, I definitely see the upside of using AI, whether you're a candidate or an employer, on either side of that. But what are some things that employers are doing to make AI more effective in their process, do you think?
Well, I'm not sure about making it more effective in their process, but I can speak to a situation that I was recently in where a friend of mine had asked me to be a character reference for a job position. And I was very surprised because I was expecting just a regular phone call, and I received a Zoom link with camera. And I mentioned at the beginning of the call, after we did the meet and greet, I'm surprised that this was a Zoom, because these days we're lucky if people check references right out there. Honestly, people are getting jobs, and we're finding out all kinds of crazy things afterwards from prior employment history. And he said, well, yes, I went to your LinkedIn page, and I wanted to make sure that the person I was speaking with is the person that was on the LinkedIn page. And he asked about my job history and all of the follow-up questions kind of that were
like an identity verification of some kind.
Like an identity verification,
Wow.
yes. And it was a half an hour call, and he asked me difficult behavior-based questions.
Really?
Like I felt like I was in the hot seat, and I was just a reference.
Yeah. I do recommend that, though, because a lot of times the references are coached.
Yes.
And that's why people don't call them a lot of times, because they'll tell me, what's the point? This person has coached them and told them what to say, or they're friends with them, so they're going to tell me anything I want to hear. But when you ask the behavior-based questions of the references, that is something they're not prepared for and can't be coached on.
Exactly.
Yes.
So that's a pretty sophisticated company.
Yeah, and it's becoming kind of like the last defense. Behavior-based interviewing is your kind of like last defense against AI at this point, right now, where we're at anyway.
Yeah. Well, we have, just because, if you have a podcast, it's all about shameless promotion, self-promotion here. We do offer a program on interviewing for emotional intelligence, and we go through all the different things you can do in a virtual interview to help yourself if you're interviewing candidates. We go through the best questions to ask, how to reveal emotional intelligence, how to ask those follow-up questions to try and get more honest answers. And then, the real key is, how do you interpret what you're hearing in light of what is this person likely to be like if we hire them? Right. So we go through all of that. So if anyone's interested, we highly recommend it. And it's kind of our flagship program, actually.
Well, and one of the significant things about that program is it's effective if you've never interviewed before, if you're going to get started in that process, or if you're a seasoned interviewer. Because we've learned in doing those sessions that even people that have been interviewing for a long period of time, especially with the changes now with AI, it's a benefit to anyone who is going to be a part of this process. Yeah.
Well, and if you think about the average tenure out there of the typical candidate, I think the average employment these days is 2 years?
Thereabouts.
So you've got candidates that are going on a lot of interviews, and you might have interviewers that are only doing a couple of interviews if they're lucky, not a lot of turnover. They might only do 1 or 2 interviews every couple of years. Yes. So you're already a bit at a disadvantage if you're not current on what trends are out there and some things to do practice-wise as an interviewer.
Let me ask you, Jen, when you are interacting with other potential clients or others in the space of emotional intelligence, are they surprised when they learn that they can actually interview for emotional intelligence?
Yeah, they are. And in fairness, it is the harder thing to interview for. I mean, it's easy to interview for technical skill or experience. You go through the resume, you ask them about their last jobs. But, a lot of people struggle, in fairness, with, would you say that you're a flexible person? It's like, how do I ask a question that reveals flexibility or self-awareness or stress tolerance? And there's actually a strategy behind it. You can ask certain questions. There's certain things that it will reveal. The follow-up questions can also give you some specific details on what their past behavior has been, how much they've learned from mistakes, how willing they are to be open to feedback. We can interview for all of that. And to me, that's where it's at, right? I can train a technical skill, but it is much more involved for me to develop EQ in somebody after I've hired them. If I can hire him with EQ, that's money ahead right there.
Absolutely. AI can easily teach a lot of those technical skills now. Actually, Excel. I would much rather teach someone how to use Excel than teach them how to be emotionally intelligent.
Yeah, it's a lot easier.
Yes.
Okay. Any other last thoughts on?
I think that's it.
The importance of this in today's world?
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you everyone for listening. If you have show ideas or any challenges that you would like some anonymous help with, we'd love to hear from you. You can email us at podcasts@jenshirkani.com. We also have a way for you to comment on our YouTube page and through all your podcast channels. So feel free to reach out. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being with me today, Steve and Angela. Pleasure as always.
Thank you, Jen.
Thanks for joining us today on the Ego versus EQ and You podcast. If you liked this episode, be sure to follow us or subscribe on your favorite podcast platform, and please share our show with others. For questions or future topic suggestions, please email us at podcast@jenshirkani.com. Until next time, keep using your EQ and show ego who's boss.